Imagine standing in the middle of the Nevada desert, where the heat distortion makes the horizon shimmer like a lake that isn't there. You're miles from the nearest paved road, yet you feel 1,000 eyes on you. You've reached the perimeter of a place that, for decades, officially didn't exist. For the government, the goal was to scrub this patch of dirt from every map, but the more they tried to hide it, the more the world looked. For over 60 years, Groom Lake has been the anchor for our collective paranoia, the focus of late-night radio conspiracies, and the backdrop for Hollywood blockbusters. Our focus today is on the tangible history of this facility, the retrieval of stolen Soviet hardware, and the engineering of planes designed to be invisible. This is an investigation into the secret geography of Area 51, a place where the government has maintained a degree of legal immunity that is difficult to find anywhere else in the country. The story begins in 1955. During the height of the Cold War, the CIA needed a location where neither the American public nor Soviet spy satellites could see what they were building. They found it here, in a dry salt flat known as Groom Lake. The site was selected by Kelly Johnson, the lead engineer of Lockheed Skunk Works. He needed a long natural runway to test aircraft that could reach altitudes previously thought impossible. With the Red Scare dominating the headlines, the military was under immense pressure to develop an ultimate weapon of information to spy on the Soviet Union. This was the U-2. When a farmer in Nevada saw this silver needle piercing the sky at 70,000 feet, the Air Force realized that the UFO phenomenon provided a perfect cover story. It wasn't an accident, it was a distraction they eagerly embraced. By the 1970s and 80s, the curves of the U-2 were replaced by the jagged, diamond-like facets of the F-117 Nighthawk. This was the birth of stealth. Engineers were attempting to manipulate the laws of physics. The goal was to create a geometry that would scatter incoming radar waves in every direction except back toward the receiver. If the angles were precise enough, a 40-ton hunk of metal could appear as small as a bumblebee on an enemy radar screen. Hiding this technology required extreme logistics. Thousands of employees were flown in daily on unmarked white Boeing 737s, a private airline known as Janet. To this day, these planes whisk workers into a void where cell phones are confiscated and lives are strictly compartmentalized. This combination of geographic isolation and advanced technology created a total information vacuum, allowing the base to operate essentially in the dark. But secrecy has a cost. In the 1990s, the veil began to slip when workers at the site fell severely ill. They claimed they were forced to breathe toxic fumes from open pits, where hazardous waste and experimental materials were burned, often in the middle of the night. When these workers tried to sue the government for their injuries, they encountered a legal wall. The President of the United States eventually signed an executive order that explicitly exempted the Air Force's operating location near Groom Lake from environmental disclosure laws. In the eyes of the law, this executive order made the facility a ghost. Because you cannot sue a ghost, the secret base exists in a void where the standard reach of the American Constitution stops at the fence line. It is a common assumption that in the age of Google Earth and high-resolution commercial satellites, the base must have lost its edge. In reality, the site is expanding. Satellite imagery shows the construction of massive new hangars, designed for aircraft the public hasn't seen yet. We are talking about next-generation air dominance, hypersonic drones that can cross oceans in minutes, and directed energy weapons. The mystery hasn't vanished, it has evolved. The grainy analog photos of the 1950s have been replaced by the thermal signatures of the 2020s. So why do we keep coming back to the aliens? Perhaps it's because the truth, that our own government is capable of hiding world-altering technology for decades, is harder to process than the idea of visitors from another star. Area 51 functions as a psychological mirror. It reflects our fascination with what happens in the dark and our uncertainty about what a government is capable of when it operates under a need-to-know basis. Every morning, the white planes of Janet Air take off from Las Vegas, carrying the architects of the next century into the desert. Groom Lake will likely never be declassified. It will simply be replaced by the next secret, in the next desert,